Get this out.
So John just sat down and saw moist junk on the screen.
Let's get that moist junk off the screen. Come on.
No. It's wet. It's wet junk. Is this not red? Is this moist junk would be blue, and then junk would be Abzan blue. So not red.
So yeah, I mean, I guess.
So Victor's gonna just rotate through. Can we just call it a Traxa control or a Traxa mid-range?
Can we just call it trash of the week?
Can we call it Jason Morgan's gonna put it in him?
Just brings us right back to moist junk for some people, and
Sure.
I don't think I'm prepared for that.
I think. So this Death Shadows deck is like the new hotness in Modern.
It is the real deal.
However, the only players that have done like particularly well with it are like the high skill players.
Right.
So like the teams the Madison guys, the Sam Black and Justin Cohen kind of group,
Yeah.
had the deck first.
Right. So
And-
I mean, I
and
think
that's the only group that's done well with it so far.
sure. I think any modern deck it requires a bit of a learning curve because so many of the interactions are
Are deck
fringe
specific,
and deck specific.
right?
So we'll get there. I think
so
it's a very real deck.
Oh yeah, it's a super real deck, and I'm excited to watch Jason play it. I mean, this guy's a super big fan of this style of deck, like the deck that has a corner to turn.
Hmm.
And so I think he's somebody that's gonna excel over time. Victor, on the other hand, is just horsing around in Modern.
We're just horsing.
I mean, I'm not sure who's got priority. All right. Jason to 18 on the cycling. Deck has a very uncertain opening hand percentage. There's 8 cards that basically cycle in it.
Right.
So when you look at that opener and you've got a Death Shadow or a Mishra's Bauble in it, that card's lying to you.
Yeah, so I like this deck a lot. I don't understand the Mishra's Bauble at all.
I think you want to be playing if the deck could play 40 cards, it would.
I mean, if any deck could play 40 cards, it would.
Right, but I think in this case, you want to keep you want the different card types in the deck, because getting your Tarmogoyf as big as possible is super important, and getting Delirium for Traverse the Even Wall is super important because you only have 8 actual creatures.
Right.
You don't have. You need to be able to use those traverses to get your Death Shadow or your Tarmogoyf.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Really critical. So getting to Delirium quickly and naturally.
Yeah, I just don't know how natural Mishra's Bauble is, but
Well, it's a card that
I mean, I
you
get
could
it.
literally place the card into the graveyard and you're +1 on types in the graveyard,
Yeah. It makes sense.
and it's absolutely free. It's there because Gitaxian Probe got banned.
I understand.
All right.
All right, so Inquisition hits the Lily. That and the fact that Victor's playing black should tip Jason off to the fact that this Death Shadow is going to eat a Fatal Push at some point here. And there's the push.
Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, Lingering Souls, and 3 lands. Let's see what Jason takes the Thoughtseize, protecting the
Death Shadow in his hand. So if he could have, he would have run the Death Shadow out here after Thought Seizing. But only 2 mana, and only one of it's black.
Tarmogoyf came off the top.
Reasonable draw.
It's going to be a great target for his abrupt decay, I think. Push down. All right. So Jason is incidentally getting his opponent's Goif to a big number, and I think he strategically took a hit here to get his Death Shadow alive.
I would agree that that is the case. I don't know that it was particularly good here, but that sometimes you just have to take those lines with this deck, I guess.
See, it's so interesting that they chose Death Shadow over, like, so in my mind, Tasker does the same thing in having a very low casting cost and being big.
Yeah, but Tasker doesn't synergize with Goif.
As well, sure.
And Death Shadow is bigger than Tasker.
Sure.
Especially since in this style deck, you don't often think of being able to activate it.
Alright. So Victor made a mistake there. I think this other card he drew is a Collective Brutality.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have cast the hell out of that card last turn.
Well, Jason's hand was just this Death Shadow and Abrupt Decay, so he could have just Abrupt Decayed the Goif in response.
But then you get the Death Shadow.
No, Collective Brutality is
only gets
instants and sorceries.
I'm sorry.
So Jason down to 6, walking the tightrope here. So Kurz getting a land. It'll be interesting to see if he goes all in, flashes back this Lingering Souls and plays a Tarmogoyf.
Alright. Yeah, these Lingering Souls have flying, which is it's a very real thing against Death Shadow.
Yeah, you don't have a good way of interacting with it.
With any creature with flying. We saw this in... There was a ton of Death Shadow v. Bant Eldrazi matchups this weekend. And, we saw Eldrazi Sky Spawner just be very important against.
Alright, the board is full.
So is my heart. Full of love for this format.
That's a Teamer Battle Rage.
Okay, so this Death Shadow is a 7/7?
Yep, so if Victor doesn't block,
it'll become a 7/7 trampled double striker?
Yeah.
So no blocking ends in death.
So if he blocks with the Goif, then Jason gets another turn. I don't know what the last card in Jason's hand is here.
If he blocks with the Goif, Victor takes damage. I mean, I think regardless of the situation, Jason has to... Like, Teamer Battle Rage puts Victor to 1 here.
Yeah, but you're dead on the swing back currently. If this is a Goif,
okay,
that is a good draw.
interesting. And this Teamer Battle Rage, I think, is going to take the game. Because Jason's going to go to 3 if Victor attacks with all these guys. And that makes Death Shadow a 10/10.
So Victor still has that Collective Brutality in hand. He could attack with just the Tarmogoyf and 1 Spirit. And that way, if he takes the Tarmogoyf, he dies. But if he blocks the Tarmogoyf with his Goyf, you can Collective Brutality to kill his Goyf.
And escalate it.
And yeah, I mean, you can escalate it if you want. I don't know if Victor has the read on Jason's last card in hand, but the 2 extra life might be more relevant. Because he'd be at 5, so Death Shadow's an 8. He's still dead. Well, no, he can block, soak up some of that damage.
Very interesting.
That extra spirit coming through is dangerous. So dangerous.
Okay, so the Goyfs having one more toughness than power, bounce off each other.
Alright, so Jason down to 2. Victor up to 16. So 11 times 2 is 22. Minus 1 is 21.
Man. So if Victor would have just chosen a different mode there.
Yeah,
like,
so
there's no reason to put him to 2.
right. Yeah, putting him to 2 is irrelevant. Swinging with the extra spirit is irrelevant. So honestly, you just swing with the Goyf and the spirit.
Right.
And if he blocks the Goyf, you can kill it. If you want to escalate it, you can pick apart his hand just so you can see what you're playing around.
Right.
But beyond that, don't need to do anything else. You got him dead on board.
What if you just time out? Time the whole way out.
Alright, let's time the whole way out.
What if you just cast Collective Brutality before combat?
Yeah, you can do that.
On his Goyf, and then...
On his Goyf?
Yeah, target it. Yeah, you escalate it. You target -2 his Goyf and the duress effect.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. But you're
At
kind of
least-
showing your hand, like, if you really
well, no,
want
that's
this
fine.
Goyf on.
He's required to block anyway. You have him dead either way.
Yeah, unless he has Fatal Push as his last card. Then
Oh,
he
then
just
he
Fatal
pushes
pushes
your
your Goyf in response.
If he has Fatal Pushes his last card and you attack with Goyf Spirit, he's going to push your Goyf. And then your Collective Brutality doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? I mean, it matters. In that
Why
it's
is
still, like...
It's still a Magic the Gathering card.
Right.
In that it has, mass and density.
Yeah. That's true. But then you've escalated it for nothing. I think the card he pitched was just a land, but I mean, still... I like the line of attacking with the Goy first, but I definitely just want to swing with 1 spirit token and then just kill the Goyf. And then you have 4 spirit tokens, and Jason's at 4 life. Just all around great stuff.
So, this is an interesting situation for Victor. Usually the best cards against this Death Shadows deck are, like Rest in Peace is like the whole best card.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But you can't, if you're playing Goyf in your own deck, you can't bring in Rest in Peace. They actually and Lingering Souls, it actually is a good card against you.
Correct.
So I'm wondering if Victor's got something like a Surgical Extraction.
Probably Scavenging Ooze.
Scavenging Ooze is another one that's potentially very good.
In my deck that I didn't get to play this weekend, also relying on the graveyard, I was running Nile Spellbomb.
Okay, does that target a graveyard to get removed?
I don't know that it targets, but it only gets rid of their graveyard.
Okay, I know that Relic of Progenitus gets rid of both graveyards.
Yeah.
So a lot of little subtle, it's, the beauty about Modern is that there's all these like little subtle card choices where, you might get to play one card over another for a specific reason.
Yeah, maybe Victor Kurz just wants to run out of Scrabbling Claws. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I know that card taps to remove target card, right?
No.
Is it the worst of all the cards that we've discussed?
Yes, it is by far the worst of all the cards that we've discussed. But it's still a sweet one. Man, if that card were in Standard last season, holy
Alright.
smokes.
Target player exiles a card from his or graveyard. Sacrifice it. Exile target card from a graveyard. Draw a card. Yeah, this card's completely reasonable.
Yeah, it's just a totally reasonable card.
Like, I mean, yeah, that card would actually have just been like a good card in Standard.
Yeah, like a good sideboard card. Didn't completely shut down an Affinity or Delirium deck.
Decks, yeah.
I mean, it would have been very good against Delirium. Hitting one specific card is pretty backbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, that's very good, but they can always reestablish Delirium.
Right.
Turn wanting them where you get to like hit it every turn, that would be the key if Scrabbling Claws were in Standard.
Yeah, I mean, that deck, when it was being played like all the time, had so many cards that just like, cards in their deck that just dumped like 3 or 4 cards in at a time.
Sure.
So it wouldn't be totally backbreaking, but it would be very good.
Right.
So Victor keeping his 7. I saw 4 lands, a Goyf, and a Lingering Souls. See if I can make out that last card. He's protecting it with his thumb. Can't see it. Might have been a Fatal Push. I believe it is. So a pretty good keep for Victor. 4 is a lot of lands. But, you know, you need to cast your spells.
Yeah, I think that... My hope is that Jason came in on more Colgan's commands.
Colgan's command.
Yeah, it brings back creatures from your graveyard.
Sure.
And more...
There's got to be a better card than that here. I guess not. Like,
no, in the Death Shadow deck, that's the card of choice.
okay. I mean, that's reasonable. I don't know that I like it here as much because the discard is just so actively bad, but I guess you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Alright, so here's the fetch land.
Going down to 15.
I'm 100% sure playing this untapped.
Even if he doesn't have a play, it's probably coming into play untapped.
Yeah, Jason's happy as a lark right now.
Yeah, Jason wants to race to about 10 and then be a little more conservative.
Inquisition. Wishes it was a Thoughtseize.
Oh, it's a Tassiger, not a Fatal Push. Mr. Bananas.
Alright, so Tassiger. Lingering Souls are the concerns for Morgan right now, and Victor's going to find a Temple Garden.
Yeah, Jason's looking at this hand and salivating. He's got all the time in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Victor can get a Tasker down in any kind of short order.
I mean, I don't think he has another fetch. So that's 2 cards. Yeah, it's just...
I would almost never play Tasker in a deck that doesn't have Thought Scour. Like, it's just
that's
really
a bit
hard.
aggressive.
It's
but
really hard to convince me of that. Alright. See if Jason can bold himself again and turn his...
So the interesting way to play this Mishra's Bauble is to pop it on your opponent's upkeep. Because then you'll draw on your turn. So they can't affect your draw with any discard spells.
Sure.
The obvious exception to this is if you have a way to interact with that top card of their library.
Right. Alright, so Victor is
Thinking about this forest.
making sure this forest has, you know, the appropriate bend to it.
Yeah, he's doing the bend test. He thinks it might be fake.
It is a beta. Those are the easiest to fake. But I don't know why you'd fake a forest.
Well, he just wanted to make sure. He's a thorough guy. Got to run that bend test out.
Alright. See if Jason's come up with a second land yet.
He has, spoilers.
Alright.
Let's see what kind of action that nets him, though.
He's still only facing down his Tasker and a Lingering Souls, which, isn't a lot of pressure. It's not like the most pressure I've ever seen in my life.
It's not, but you want to be the aggressive deck in this matchup.
Sure.
And he is not.
Alright. We've come up with a line, I think.
Yeah, so a lot of thought has to go through every single point of damage that you're going to take.
Right.
Because the nice thing about Death Shadow is that you can get yourself low enough for that to be a real creature pretty quickly.
Uh-huh.
But on the flip side, in the late game, you have all these cards that deal you damage. And if you're under a clock like this, even though it's not a really fast clock, it's still going to add up very quickly.
Sure.
So this will take Jason down to 12. The swing from the spirits will take him down to 10. And then, presumably, he's going to have this 3/3 Death Shadow.
Alright, here's a
Collective Brutality.
discarding a Cold against command.
Oh, man. Nice read on the discard. Let's get that Abrupt Decay the heck out of here.
Interesting. So the Spell Snare is a card.
It is a card, but the Decay hits both of your cards, and you can play around the Spell Snare now that you know it's there.
Sure. Alright. So we've got this one Lingering Soul left.
So we can land, Flashback, Lingering Souls.
Keep the Spell
Tassiger.
Snare up. Oh, we can Tassiger as well and keep the Spell Snare up.
I don't know if you can keep the Spell Snare up if you Tassiger, and I don't think you want to.
Okay.
Keeping, slowing down your tempo here to kill, or get a Tassiger, or, sorry, to keep a Spell Snare up, not ideal when he knows you've got it. We also don't know what he drew.
Alright. So we're gonna...
Oh no, I'm sorry. I misspoke. He cannot Lingering Souls and Tassiger here because he's only got 3 cards in his graveyard after the Lingering Souls gets exiled from the flashback.
Sure, okay.
So we're going to be able to keep this Spell Snare up regardless.
I would flashback the Lingering Souls personally. I'm much more worried about one... Okay.
So
He's
this
gonna go
is
to
the most
Tassiger.
efficient use of your mana, I guess.
So my whole thing is that I think it's much harder for Jason to deal with 3 1/1 flyers than one creature.
Oh man, he's thinking about exiling this Lingering Souls, which would just be stone wrong here. That card is so good in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean if he's gonna have it, oh come on.
Alright. So we've rethought this a third time. And are now flashing back these Lingering Souls.
Alright. There we go. Jason draws. And he's going to go into a little bit of a think here.
Yeah.
I guess when you've seen all three positions that your opponent could have, you have to
Right.
you have to think on the one that he decided to have.
So you got to assume the unknown is a dud. Otherwise, it would have changed the way he played that turn, and
Sure.
it doesn't look like he did.
All right. Did you see that card that he flashed by any chance?
I did not. I was looking at Jason's fetch here for a Godless Shrine, going to 8, and going to play
A 5/5 Death Shadow.
5/5 Death Shadow, which just happens to be big enough to swing through a Tassiger.
Does he have the Teamer Battle Rage in hand? Is that the red card I'm seeing?
I didn't see one. Snapcaster is the other card for victory, so he's got
Okay.
Fetch and Snap. That Snap, pretty good here. So we got the Snap Abrupt Decay. Snapcaster, Abrupt Decay. Swinging for 3, Jason goes to 5.
Yep. Yeah, I don't see.
So if Jason has a land that just comes into play untapped, period. Or I guess he could fetch a basic and still live. So he could Colligan's Command, kill the Snapcaster, get back Death Shadow, cast Death Shadow, and
Hope to
draw
top deck Teamer Battle
the
Rage.
Teamer Battle Rage from 1 life for the full Monty.
That'd be quite the series of events.
I mean, that's your out here. He doesn't have. It doesn't look like he has the Battle Rage in hand.
Also, I think another out he has is Gore Clan Rampager.
I mean, if he doesn't block, but there's no chance that Victor doesn't play out this Tassiger next turn and just sit it back.
Alright, so he keeps the.
Keeps the Snapcaster around.
Yeah, well, he can block the Snapcaster, not the Lingering Souls
Sure.
tokens.
My thought is if Victor has any removal spell, that's bad for him. But I mean, if Victor has any removal spell, he's probably just dead anyway. So
Right.
goes to 2, and looks like we're gonna see a Tassiger. After a fetch, likely. Debating the authenticity of this fetch land as well, looks like.
Alright.
So now we've assembled our out. It's now live. Alright, let's see it. Teamer Battle Rage for the win.
Well, it's at least. He drew something that's at least worth a think. He's going to at least think about whether or not he can get Victor on this one. Alright.
Lingering Souls of
Yes,
his own.
Lingering Souls.
So he can go down to 1 here.
Wow. This stonewalls Victor, so Victor can't attack anymore because Jason goes down to 1, and is left with, if he attacks with everything, Jason's down to 1 and left with like an 11/11 Death Shadow, or a
Right.
12/12 Death Shadow.
But Victor definitely has the advantage here. Any removal spell is going to get him there. Surgical is pretty nice. Abrupt Decay on the top. Inquisition on the bottom. Jason Morgan has 1 turn to live.
How do you figure he has 1 turn to live?
Once this Death Shadow goes away, he's in some trouble.
Oh, sure. I guess this Abrupt Decay is bad, but
Yeah.
yeah, just those attacking, you block them.
When you have to. Fatal Push is the card in hand. Alright, so no more Lingering Souls.
For Jason, the 3 of those are extracted from the game.
Jason's still on the
Surgically.
1 outer.
Well, no, his card's Fatal Push in hand.
Mhm.
Oh, so
So I guess he could draw a Goyf, and then he gets to swing in with the Death Shadow. Four mana something.
Ranger Eos.
Ranger of Eos. Get
Fantastic.
2 Death Shadows.
Oh, he's still
Yeah,
dead.
he's still dead.
All right, we're gonna see a game 3.
Whew.
It's a very tight match.
That one was pretty tight towards the end. Yeah, I don't know that Jason was very in that game. It seemed like Victor was in control most of the game, but the nature of this Death Shadow deck is it's always just
live.
waiting there, and it's ready to go the distance if the right cards pop up at the right time.
Sure. It's not necessary. The deck is not designed to go long. It's not a long game deck.
No, it's not.
It wants to close the game out quickly.
I agree.
That being said, it's not completely devoid of staying power. And
Sure.
you have to the strength of the deck is that you have to respect it at all times.
Right. You have to respect the ability for it to just kind of win out of nowhere with these monstrous Death Shadows and Teamer Battle Rage.
Right. Seeing how good Lingering Souls was against it, I'm amazed it doesn't have like a Golgari charm in the sideboard, or
Sure.
I mean like that kind of effect could be super powerful. Heck, you could even play Takedown from our from
That's a bit aggressive, I think.
Kaladesh.
I think that's not exactly where you want to be.
It only costs a green.
It does.
It deals 1 damage to all their flyers.
These are both true statements.
It's fantastic. It does everything you need it to do. Take down your souls, attack.
It doesn't kill Memnites.
Okay, doesn't get your Memnites.
Doesn't get any Kuldotha Rebirth Goblin tokens.
Okay,
It doesn't kill.
but it's a whole turn faster than Golgari Charm.
Right, but you're
I
not.
know,
You're
I
not
know,
racing to cast
I'm
this card.
BSing you. I'm BSing
Don't
you.
BS a BSer. Don't BS a BSer.
Don't BS. I mean, I got the chief BSer next to me.
The Commander-in-Chief BSer.
The CBSer. Alright, Jason's going to be on the play. And we're going to see over under 15 on his life total at the end of turn 1. 15.5.
Under.
We're going to take under 15.5. Here's a Mishra's Bobble.
So I think the standard starting life total here is 15 exactly. Nope. Didn't have the fetch. Looks like we're down to 16.
Oh, man. Alright. So we got a Lingering Souls, we got Tarmogoyf, Surgical Extraction, and is that a Fatal Push on the end there? No, it's a creature. What's under the Tarmogoyf?
Is that a Bob? What is that? No, it's a Haunted Dead.
What?
It's a Haunted Dead.
Is this the... Oh, okay. Whatever.
Is it a Haunted Dead or is it a Bob? I can't tell. No, that's a Bob.
Oh, yeah. Greatness at any cost.
That's a damn Bob. There he is. Yep. Bob in all his glory.
Alright. What's Victor working with here? Let's see. We're going to see Island down.
We're going to see a real island. This one's definitely not fake.
I'd personally go with the fetch here, but Victor's concurred with my line. Alright. So Jason has a Thoughtseize, and if he can Thoughtseize this Bob, I feel like he can get way ahead this game.
Especially if he's a Death Shadow in hand and can get himself down below 13 right now.
Well, here's 14. Thoughtseize. To 12. What?
So you guys at home can't really hear the camera mic, but Victor, when he got Thoughtseized on turn 1, drew and had his hand up still. He's like, that's much less good for me when I don't have the spell snare. Like trying to bluff having that spell snare.
Yeah.
And that was the card that he had drawn.
Just fired it up against him. Yeah, so now Jason, I mean, if he has a third land, a Goyf and a Death Shadow, I just don't see, how he can lose the game.
Honestly, he should have probably let him keep the spell snare for a turn if he had a third land, and just like ran out a Death Shadow.
Mishra's Bobble.
Does have a Goyf in hand.
Right, he's going to look at himself. See if he likes that card or not. Here's a Tarmogoyf.
A Goyf.
Alright, here's another fetch. Victor's going to put it into play tapped.
Man, that's a card that we desperately need in this Modern Master set. Mishra's Bobble. Especially with the explosion of popularity of this Death Shadow deck.
Yeah, I want him to print it at common.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that, but I think...
just want it to be worth a nickel. I want to proxy onto Mishra's Baubles.
What do you want to proxy? Like
Mox,
spirit tokens?
No, Mox Opals.
Oh. That's fair. All right, so
I'm just saying, I think it's a stupid card. Like it's not a good thing that card exists.
Okay.
Is that how do you feel about that statement?
I like that even though they rearranged this back room, they left your soapbox back here for you.
Oh wow. Wow, man. guess I'm just getting roasted tonight. All right, so we got Goyfs facing down each other.
So this is always a little bit of an awkward position where Victor can offer up the trade on these Goyfs, which Jason probably wouldn't take, but then kill both the Goyfs because he can hit the Smisher's Bauble with surgical extraction.
Sure.
Given that that's the case, and Jason has a Colgan's Command in hand, I don't see why he didn't swing in with Goyf.
Who should have been the attacker there?
Jason. I think his hand is land, Colgan's Command.
That's not the kind of hand you want to have here.
No.
I might.
Especially not in response to this Inquisition.
Colgan's Command, 2 damage, you discard a card.
Oh, he has double Colgan's Command.
Okay.
Yeah, making him discard this Lingering Souls is not ideal.
Right. I mean, it's fine.
Don't say it. Oh, you said it.
Alright. So if Victor plays Lingering Souls here, you are happier.
Yeah, I mean, you kill Lingering Souls, you hit the surgical. I don't think you can afford to not use your mana here. Well, here we are.
Oh, we're in the next main phase, so.
It's been done. The damage has been done.
Alright, Jason's going to go to 9. Any incoming Death Shadows would be 4 4s.
Which is a big deal.
He gets an untapped white source here, which could mean Lingering Souls. And if it is, that makes the Colgan's Command that he didn't cast real bad. If he would have cast it for the surgical extraction last turn, his Lingering Souls would get to flash back.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Is that a good thing?
Think so?
Okay. Yeah, he's definitely not going to be able to flash back this Lingering Souls if he casts it now.
Right, yeah, there's no way Victor's going to let that happen.
Death Shadow.
See, that's a pretty good one. I'm into that. Huh.
I think the draw was a land for Victor.
It's so interesting.
So just swinging for 2 puts Jason to 7, puts Death Shadow to 6.
Yeah, see, that's not where you want to be. Because then now the Death Shadow outclasses the Tarmogoyf.
Right.
Interesting.
So now that you've let Victor untap and draw, you can't get this surgical with your Colgan's Command if that was your plan.
Right.
And now casting it in a turn is just not very good.
I don't know. I wish Jason had a creature in the graveyard. That would make it very good.
Well, I mean, it would just get surgical in response.
Sure.
And not having a creature in the graveyard is very good when Victor has the surgical, because as you mentioned, he's only got like 8 creatures. Let's see what the draw is here.
Yeah, Jason gets
2 mana.
Is this Abrupt Decay on the Tarmogoyf?
That's pretty solid.
That's really good. Now you can legitimately start attacking.
So we've got
Yeah, so
11 coming
Victor
through.
has to block.
He doesn't have to. Highly recommended that he does.
Yeah, I would block all this damage if I were Victor.
I honestly might just take it.
Alright, so he's going to take 5. He's on the hedge.
So Surgical the Colligan's command.
Yeah, he
Pretty
gets the
strong
card out
play.
of his hand. Yeah, that's a good thing to be doing. I think Hogan's Command's one of the better cards for Jason.
Absolutely.
And if you can get one out of his hand, that's fine. I still think Jason's in a superior position here.
It's very close. A Lingering Soul's off the top, obviously, for Victor is insane. He's got a lot of such draws because I think he has 7 removal spells in his deck.
Sure.
They deal with these cards, and you can let the Goyf live pretty easily. Snapcaster.
Snapcaster Mage.
There's no removal spells in Victor's yard, though.
Right.
So you could hit something else with this Surgical. You could Spell Snare something. It might just be an Ambush Viper, though.
I think you get to attack with 1 soul here. You could attack with 2 souls and block with your 3rd one. If you wanted to.
That's why last turn I wanted to take, so I could swing with 3 here, and then 2 plus any number of things is just a win. So Jason Morgan, let's see what the top deck has for him. Teamer's Battle Rage costs 2, correct?
Correct. It's 1 and a red.
This Snapcaster with Spell Snare backup is looking pretty strong.
Yeah, it definitely takes away that line. Victor's at 7 now. Yeah, this Traverse Evenwald 4. So Victor could Snapcaster getting the artifact here, so he has instant sorcery, land, creature. Okay. So Jason's at 5 types.
He is only at 4. I don't think he has a creature in there.
Yeah, so this is going to work out in Victor's favor. That he's going to be able to Snapcaster the artifact. And what's going to happen is that the Traverse Evenwald's not going to be able to find a creature.
Right.
Whereas
It'll
what
just find a land.
Jason needs is he needs that thing to find a creature. Alright, so he gets to go and get all the Mistress Baubles out of Jason's deck now.
Yeah. So let's keep in mind that on turn, I think it was 3, Jason had an opportunity to Colgan's command this Surgical out of his hand.
Oh, sure. So he would be... Yeah, we were several turns behind. Yeah, and
Let's see what the draw is for Victor. Serum Visions. Scry. Land, Fatal Push. Fatal Push is good.
Yep. That's card is relevant in the current game state.
Let's see what card he drew.
You actually handed it to me. That's an important detail.
Liliana.
Liliana.
Oh,
Wow.
goodness.
Man. Alright. So Jason goes to 2.
Alright, so a land. Or I'm sorry, a removal spell from Jason Morgan, and that is
The game.
the whole game. Let's see what he can pull off the
Come
top.
on, dealer.
Souls.
Oh, and he gets the whole. He gets the.
Souls with flashback. So now we've got a Fatal Push for the Death Shadow.
Man.
This is going to come right down to it. So Fatal Push the Death Shadow. He has to block the Snapcaster, so he can swing in with Snapcaster.
So if he blocks the Snapcaster, then you get to send these 3 at Liliana. He has to. He has to let Liliana go. He swings back for 1. Oh man.
We're in a down south top deck war. Let's go.
Wee.
I haven't seen one like this since Georgia.
Oh man, now he gets the. This is super interesting.
Only
Whether-
attacking with 2.
Ooh, no. All right, let's Liliana go.
No.
That was a super interesting line. 4 mana.
Oh
Ranger
my
Eos for 2.
goodness.
Oh wow! This is gonna take over the game. Wow, this Ranger of Eos tech is humongous.
Yeah. Drawing multiple Death Shadows. That's the whole game.
Holy smokes! Wow!
Holy smokes.